Welcome to video number 12 of Rosmer and John Sue's video battleathon, inspired by Gary Vaynerchuk. Today's topic from my book, Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill. There's a chapter that describes the key rules to personal integrity. And the first chapter of this personal integrity series has to do with cooperation and getting others to cooperate with you for a chief definite aim. So a couple of things that kind of come to mind is personal integrity. Everyone's got a different definition. And like what I realized is this. Have you ever done something where somebody felt that they screwed you over, or that you screwed them over, but in your mind you're like, no, I wasn't screwing you over. I was doing what was right and what was fair. And when you think about personal integrity, is there really a concrete definition of personal integrity? You know, like what I'm noticing is there's always going to be somebody who's not happy. You know, say for example, I get a listing. You know, someone's going to say, oh, you know, that should have been my listing. Or somebody decides to work with me as a buyer. Someone's going to say, oh, John Sue's snaking my client. But somebody cannot, you know, I could say from my end, well, they chose to work with me and not you. So did I steal the client? Maybe from your perspective you felt that way, but I don't think so. Right? So when it comes to personal integrity, I really believe that, you know, everyone kind of, you know, does what's best for them in that moment of time. And, you know, integrity doesn't really exist in how society teaches you, right? Because, you know, everybody in their life, like what I truly believe is, you know, everyone's been the bad guy many times in their life, if they want to admit it or not. I don't care who you are, the Pope or somebody good, Mother Teresa. You know, no matter how good you think you are, you've always been the bad guy to somebody. So kind of, you know, when I think about it, people who do stuff, you know, actually it's kind of my realization. People who do stuff always are often in positions where they got to make tough decisions or make decisions where somebody's going to think they're the bad guy, right? So I would say it's like, to be the hero of your own life, you're probably, most definitely going to be the villain of somebody else's life. So if you want to do stuff, get used to it and really own the dark side. Like what I really realized about negativity is, you know, negativity is a stronger motivator than positivity. And that's a fact, 100%. People will respond more effectively to negativity than they will positivity, right? And there's nothing we can change about that. But instead of fighting negativity, why not learn to go with it and flow with it and use it to your advantage, right? Like if you look at Gary Vaynerchuk, he talks about positivity and positivity drives the world. But if you actually hear him, he's actually quite fear-driven. He's like, I hate to live a life like this, and I will never do that, and talks about how he does stuff so that he'll never be the loser. And he's, if you ask me, Gary Vaynerchuk, he plays not to win, but he plays to not lose. And you know what? Everyone does it differently. Myself, I'm you know, I actually have lost so much in my life for such long periods of time. I don't mind losing. It's just kind of part of what we do. Do I like it? That would be an exaggeration. Nobody likes to get shot down. You know, like the probably my worst failure rate would be like online dating. You know, I get like 0.03 response rate, and 90% of that response rate is usually no thank you. But I still keep going and hope that maybe one day, you know, something happens. And I guess that's what keeps humanity alive, is hope. Hope's one of those things that are great when it works, but it's a killer sometimes when you're just so damn committed to doing what you do. And that's kind of being self-employed. Sometimes you just need to believe in, you know, what you're doing, even though everything in your life and what's going on and the results are just saying, yo, it's not happening, right? You just got to keep pushing through. And what I always believe is goals in life aren't impossible. It's just how we imagine them to happen. That's the impossibility. Because we always have these fantasies of, oh yeah, it'd be amazing how we do things and just nonstop, no hurdles. But as you know, everything's got hurdles, even simple things. That's just the way life is designed. You got to earn the right to play large, and if you don't want to earn the right, then obviously you don't get to play large. So going back to the cooperation topic today, cooperation is one of those things. Yeah, you know what? It's fantastic when it works, but it totally sucks when it doesn't work, and it's really tough, especially when you've never, tried to get people to cooperate with you, or I guess manage or work on a team. How would I say it? It's kind of like herding kittens, right? There's it's kind of like when you're very self sufficient. What really worked for you was that you did everything your way and you figured it out. And kind of when you start to manage people or work with others, you realize that not everybody actually does it your way, and your way is not the best. And it's one of those, if you're a control freak, like, you got to let people, if they can get the job done, sure, they don't do it as perfect as you or as good as you, but if they can get the job done, who really cares? It saves you the headache. That was kind of one of the biggest learning things for me is, yeah, sure, they could do it way better. And is my way better? In my opinion, yeah, I think my way is so much way better. But at the end of the day, they got the job done, so who really cares? And just to talk about cooperation, the biggest thing about cooperation is keeping accountability. That's when you got to be the bad guy on a weekly basis. It's like, what's happening? Why is things not happening? Why are you not doing it? And it's not an easy thing to do, right? Especially, it makes people uncomfortable, and it just kind of makes you the bad guy because you got to put them on the spot, because it's really, if people don't do their stuff, it's a bitch, and you gotta make light of that and highlight it. And there's you always say, don't criticize people, but at the end of the day, people don't like to hear bad things about themselves. Neither do I. But at the end of the day, you got to hear it, and that's kind of what makes us progress. One thing I believe, though, is cooperation doesn't always work. Sometimes, as the team manager or the leader, you kind of got to disregard what the team members say and go ahead, because it's kind of like you're in the upper management. You have the idea of where you got to go, and at the end of the day, if things fall on your shoulders, you got to be the bad guy and say, okay, I disregard what you guys are saying. I got to push this through. So I don't think cooperation is part of the thing, but also non-cooperation is the other skill set, which makes you play the bad guy and be the dark person in someone else's life. So that's my 2 cents, Michael. 2 videos. And I'll be releasing one every day, because you know what? Life goes on, and my life doesn't stop for anybody. And I was thinking sometimes, shit, with that mindset, no wonder why I'm single. Nobody wants to be with a guy his life doesn't revolve around the other person or stop for that person. But it works for me, and I think, what's fair is fair. Let them be on their own, and I'll be on my own, and life doesn't stop at them, it stops at me. Okay, awesome. Thanks for watching.